All right, on your exam, the next pair of pages are going to be questions about manipulating lists. So these don't care whether they're lists or linked lists, right? And notice on the bottom of these pages, these do not miss these right over here. They're at the bottom of a lot of the pages. What is the time complexity for this algorithm? You forget these, that's 2 points every time you forget it. So don't forget them. They're on the actual exam itself, right? So suppose you have a list of integers. Write a method that finds the minimum and maximum values stored in the list and returns their sum, regardless of the implementation of the list. This should really be a static over here, but that's okay. Right? So let's go ahead and write that over here. Public int. And I'm going to go ahead and just, for sake of readability, do Java syntax highlighting. Okay. So this, and then I believe there was a return statement at the end. So we're finding the minimum value, the maximum value in the list, and we are returning their sum. Return min plus max. All right. So let's go ahead and do this now. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to iterate through all the values in the list. So for integer, or we can actually do int here, int value in list. He locked himself in the vestibule. For int value in list, we want to check that value if it is less than the minimum value. So if value is less than min, if it's less than the value that the smallest value I've seen so far, then that value is the smallest value I've seen so far. And likewise, if value is greater than the maximum, if it's bigger than the biggest thing I've seen so far, then that value should be the biggest thing I've seen so far. That's it for that one. Okay, so I'll give you a pretty simple question. What's the big O time for that algorithm? So that's actually a very interesting question. So we're going through every item in this list exactly once, right? So if we got 10 items, we check 10 items. If we've got 10 items, we check 20 items. So it's O of n time, since we're using a for each loop. However, if we were not using a for each loop, interestingly enough, right, the time would differ. It would still be O of n if we were doing an array list, but for a linked list, you might want to think about that answer. How long does that get operation take? So think about that, and if you can figure that out, then you've got a really good understanding of array lists. Of array lists versus linked lists. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at this one. Suppose you had some list of strings. Write a method called reverse words that returns a new list with all the strings reversed. Okay. So here we've got a list of words. And we want to create a new list of a new list with all the strings reversed. Now creating a new list here actually makes it a bit easier for us, mainly because that means that we don't have to do any weird in-place switching stuff. So we need to be able to figure out how to reverse the link of the list, but we'll get to that later. So first things first, on the top, I'll create my answer list. So list string answer is equal to new array list string. Although remember, you can use diamond notation, and it's okay if you leave out the string on the exam, right? On the computer, it'll just give you a compiler warning, not an error, so that's fine. Okay, and I'm going to remember to return it at the end. Okay, and the big thing here is to remember on the exam that this needs to be a new array list, not a new list, because you can't do that. That would be an error. Okay, so let's keep going. Now, again, I can use a for each loop here. For string s in, but here actually I'll go ahead and do the regular loop just so you don't think that you can use a for each loop to solve everything. For int I is equal to 0, I is less than list dot. Remember, it's size for collections. I plus plus. Okay. String word is equal to list dot get. And I'm going to do this here, even though I could totally do list.get operations all over the place. I prefer to do it this way so that I've got a smaller variable to write. So string word. Okay, so I've got a word now. Now for every word in this list, I have to go and, go through that and reverse it. So how can I reverse it? Well, that means I just have to go through every character one at a time. For each character, so how can I do that? For int j is equal to 0, j is less than or equal to, whoops, no, not j is just less than list dot word dot, not size, but length over here, because strings have length, j plus plus. And don't worry if you miss it, it's a point if you forget that. So let's see. Alright, now we have to figure out how to get the strings in reverse. Well, going through it one character at a time in order probably isn't the right way to do it, but if I want to create a new word, then what I can do is that I could create a, what I can do actually is create a string reversed over here is equal to the empty string, right? And I'll probably just, so reversed. And I'll actually just call it rev so that's shorter. Okay, and now we'll go through backwards. So we'll take word.length, and j is greater than or equal to 0. Rev plus equals j. Rev is equal to what I already have reversed plus word dot car at j. Checking over for any for what else I need to do, I can see two things. The first thing I need to do is I need to take answer dot add rev to it, right, once I'm done making the reverse word. Ooh, and I also think that's an out of bounds error I have over there because the last valid index is -1 over there, right? Alright, so what is the runtime of this algorithm? Well, you might think it's O of n squared due to the two nested loops, but we go over each string exactly once, right? We grab the string and then we go over each string in reverse. So each string we just go over exactly as many times as is there. So this would be an O of n algorithm. Another way to think about that is that every single character in this list is tackled exactly once. Although the caveat does apply that I previously stated for the list.get method. It matters whether we're using an array list or a linked list there. So, but most of you will probably be using an array list there, so just keep that in mind.